What if it's not about a building? What if it's not about stained glass or steeples? What if it's about just Jesus?
Do you guys remember those bracelets, the WWJD? They kind of made a comeback here recently.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be cool if we could all, not just what would Jesus do, but like, can I have Jesus's eyes just for a minute to see people and see things and see situations, how differently we would act?
Man, that's a good thought. We we might be a lot better people then.
That's the truth.
And I got to jump right in here because I want to start off. And, I've got something that just spoke to me this week. And, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Philippians 4:6.
Wow.
That's my verse for the week, people.
You came in ready to go.
Clutch.
That was history.
I
That
know.
just making.
So hold on. Did you just flip it open and find one, or did you kind of have a calling for it?
So I went to the app and I thought, what am I feeling? It was this morning and I thought, peace. And so I clicked on peace and that was the first one that I saw. And I just needed peace this morning.
I don't know why, since the devil's been hitting us so hard, why we would need that.
Sometimes you just need a little peace.
That's a joke.
Man.
That was a joke. Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Good all the time.
Now I feel like I'm part of the team. So okay, let's go.
You brought something big to the podcast. I feel like we need to just roll with that.
I love that. Yeah, peace, man.
Yeah.
I actually think about Jesus. Jesus, he literally said, "My peace I give to you, not as the world gives, I give to you."
That's interesting, Corey. And I feel like a lot of times we wear the weight of Jesus almost. Like it adds a more of a burden to us sometimes than we allow it to bring joy.
Man, confound on that a little bit. What are you thinking?
I wish I could.
can.
I don't really know. Other than I feel like there's such a hierarchy in our own standard, our own self-standard that we put so much pressure on ourselves and we have that expectation for ourselves that we can't just be. We can't just accept that sometimes things aren't going to go great. Sometimes we're going to make bad decisions. Sometimes things are just going to go awry, and that's okay too. Or sometimes we're going to let people down. And that's just part of life. We've got to be able to, what'd you say today? Leave that coat behind, right?
Yeah.
We got to be able to do that and not just carry that all the time.
Well, and that's why my verse works. Don't worry about anything. Pray about everything.
Man.
You're right. That's great.
It's all encompassing.
And that is awesome. That's just great. I'm very, very excited that you found that and that spoke to you. And
Well, Philippians is one of those that I feel like a lot of the verses speak to me. And some of my favorite verses are from that.
there is a lot of great things in Philippians. Paul said, one of my favorites is, I believe it's Philippians 3:13. And I actually quoted it today. I read it today that Paul said, maybe we don't think about it enough, but Paul persecuted the church, the saints. Like he killed them and was ready to kill more as he was still under that old Mosaic law mindset in the Jewish customs because they didn't want Jesus. They didn't want Jesus followers, and they thought that they were blasphemers. All of the Jewish leaders, they thought that Jesus was, a fake.
So Philippians, it's one of those that it's a letter written to the church.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job.
I am full of stuff today. Yeah.
Philippi.
Yeah, because you were talking about Paul. So
Yeah.
did Paul write the letters?
Yes.
Man.
Remember,
Basically,
he wrote all the
Ian's. Well, and they don't all do that, but yes, basically,
All the
You don't remember that? All the shuns?
no, I know all the
Yeah.
shuns.
I
So
said Ian.
Philippians.
So, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans starts Paul. Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1st and 2nd Timothy, Titus, Philemon, and some people say he wrote Hebrews, but nobody really knows. That's all the ones he wrote.
Is there an order of why they're in the Bible a certain direction? Like you've got Matthew and Peter, they were coming along about the same time, but Peter's books are at the very end.
Yeah, it is really crazy how it's not in chronological order, but like you want to say too that if you think about it, which this is really getting out in the world, that there's 40 writers over 1,500 years and 3 languages, and all these stories coincide and go together like a perfect book, which is amazing in itself. But the first Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John
Hold on.
of the First Testament,
Right. But
or
why
the New Testament. Sorry, go ahead.
why is Peter not one of the gospels?
So Peter did not write for some reason about the life of Jesus.
Oh.
So you got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which is called the 4 Gospels, which is only about Jesus and when he came here to walk this earth from birth to death to resurrection
Okay.
and ascension, and his life is the gospel. And so Peter did not write about that. His writings are more like to us and to help us overcome and those sort of things about overcoming the flesh.
I could see if I was there for that. Like, if I know Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are writing the Gospels, I'd be like, well, they've got that covered. I'm going to work on this over here. You know,
You know, he had anger issues anyways. He probably was fighting a different fight.
That's awesome. He's just filling in the
He
subtext.
probably had his sword out, too much, trying to take war on people,
That's awesome. I could definitely see somebody thinking that. Like, that's good. Let's move on. I'll cover this.
I'm so glad they did that.
I wondered if he had the opportunity to read what they wrote. I mean, we can only imagine, but we wouldn't know, right?
Some theologians say that, and I think we've talked about this, Matthew and John obviously were part of the 12 apostles, but some say, and we know that Mark and Luke were not one of the 12.
Mm-hmm.
But Mark supposedly was like a protege of Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the things he wrote and put down was from the stories of Peter because they were very close. Some say. And Luke was really right under the wing of Paul a lot. And a lot of times he met him in prison and studied under him a lot. And Luke was an actual physician. So some people think and say, and even the Bible in places, say that his understanding was more clear in his writing. He got more of a full detail.
I'm going to assume that none of them really got to read each other's works because my assumption from the time and things that it was going on, I would say that probably was a dangerous book to have. People didn't want you to have it, right?
I would say so. And their lives were in danger the entire time after Jesus. I mean, when Jesus was walking the earth after he was resurrected, we don't say this enough, and people don't know. I don't think enough people know that Jesus didn't just die and resurrect and go back to the Father. He stayed here on the earth for 40 days. And he was, dealing and talking and still teaching the apostles for 40 days. And many times he would show up where they were locked into places, afraid, hiding away because their lives were on the line.
Mhm.
and they were being sought out to be killed. But Jesus, like they would have the doors locked, and Jesus would just appear in the middle of the room and say, "Fear not, I am here. It is I."
I know we've talked about this, and last time I was like, he's like godlike, and he was a god, you know.
Yeah,
I guess that's true.
Yeah, this is kind of after he got more godlike, after he resurrected with all power. And two, it brings up a question in my mind that's really cool if you think about it. Why was the stone rolled away?
I asked that question too.
You did?
Well, yeah, weren't they going to like embalm him or
Well,
prepare him?
they didn't roll it away.
It was rolled away when they got there.
No.
Yeah. But my whole question is, why was it rolled away at all?
I think if you're Jesus and you're trying to make all this happen, you know what? You want that rolled away. Let them know I left.
I gotta, yeah.
And here's that's great. That's awesome. That's powerful. And here's something to go right along with it too. We know that the stone didn't need to be rolled away so Jesus could get out.
Clearly, because he's popping into rooms.
Come on. So the stone was rolled away literally by the angel after it was shaken. And the stone was rolled away not so he could get out, but so we could get in.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm running.
Let 'em know I'm gone.
I'm gone. Give me some music. Do something, man. We got to shout for a minute.
Hey, so
Yeah.
what's the significance of 40 days? Everything happens in 40 days. Like Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days.
Wasn't Moses somewhere for 40 years?
Yes. Well, so that's a great question.
You know, when like at the gym, I know for some reason when I do sets, I'll do like sets of 7, sets of 3. I don't ever do 2 4s and 6s. So I wonder if that time frame, like, if somehow that 40 was like that number, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy. So 40, it comes up all the time. And I would just like to say that my brother and my sister here, which are brother and sister, are 40.
We're both
Yeah.
40 right now.
So
Yeah.
this is a great time in their lives, and I know God is doing some big things and big horizons. Man, we're rolling, ain't we?
Transcendence.
Yeah. So 40 is a big time in the Bible for change and preparation and trial, and a lot of good and bad things happen in 40 days, 40 years. Moses was on the mountain speaking with God for 40 days when he got the 10 Commandments and chiseled them into the 2 tablets.
Wait, that was 40 days too?
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And it was just on 2 tablets?
Yeah, the 10 Commandments.
Huh.
5 and 5.
Man,
Yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking of like one for each.
And it's 2. No, it's like we were separated from those tablets. And I love to think about this. God hit me with this heavy once. We were separated from those tablets. Like you could obviously read the laws, but they weren't in you internally.
Right.
Through Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and Jesus dying and shedding his blood, and spiritually the Holy Spirit coming, now the commandments are written inside of us. So they're not separate like they were in some Ark of the Covenant. Now they're in us, which is really powerful. But it was also for 40 days that it rained in the great flood when Noah built the ark. Also with Moses, he was 40 years old when he left Egypt. He killed the Egyptian. He left Egypt, and 40 years later, he was 80 on the backside of the desert when God saw or showed him the burning bush. And then Nineveh for Jonah and the well, which is one of our good stories.
Oh, yeah, I love
Man,
that.
that feels like it's a long time ago, don't
was.
it?
It does.
Man, so Nineveh, who God was sending Jonah to, which he, ran the other way and went to Tarshish, and that's when the whale swallowed him up. But that he was supposed to tell Nineveh. God told Jonah to tell the city of Nineveh, you have 40 days to repent, to turn, or I'm going to overthrow this city. And so Jesus, when he went into the wilderness just to be tempted by the devil, he did not eat. He had fasted for 40 days. And he, like I think I already said, but he was on the earth 40 days after he was crucified and resurrected. He was still on the earth for 40 days before he ascended back to the Father.
Man, when you see the number 40, something's going down.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the Bible.
Yeah,
Something's happening.
God's shaking and baking.
That was right at a year ago. We did Job.
No way.
Yeah. Almost a year
Job
ago.
or Jonah?
Job.
Job.
Did you say Job? We were talking about
Jonah.
Job. Jonah? Oh, that's
Jonah.
even further.
Jonah and the
That's
whale.
Yeah, Jonah and the whale.
When God's, told him to go and tell Nineveh.
Oh, yeah. No, that's even.
I was
yeah.
going to say, man, that feels like it was way longer than a year.
Yeah.
That was November 30th of 2023.
You
Wow.
are kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
How long have we been doing this, man?
I don't know. We started August of 23
We got like 500 episodes, right?
at 93. It feels like 500. There's a rule. If you do anything for 10,000 hours with deliberate practice, you're probably an expert.
No way.
We've got 93 episodes, about 30 minutes apiece. So, another 15 years we'll be experts here?
No, we used to be an hour, so 15
Wow,
years?
15
That long?
years.
Well, you're talking
I was
30,
thinking
40
he was
minutes at a
gonna
time.
say 40 days, we're going to be experts.
I was hoping we were already theologians.
Man, you might be, but I am far, far from it. Savannah finally learned a verse.
So I was going to say, I just now busted out my first Bible verse, and I'm going to be
Hey,
honest, I had to
hey.
read it from my phone.
Hey, you did it like a rock star, though. You really read it and spoke.
And
you
look,
know,
here we are,
with
still going
eloquence.
off of it.
That's right.
Man, yeah.
That's right.
Talking about your peace.
Bringing stuff to the table here. That's right.
Sometimes they got peace after 40 years. After 40. That was another lesson we learned.
I've learned so much from you all.
Oh, this has been great.
I'm shot now.
We were going to talk about Jesus healing a leopard, but
Did you say leopard or leper?
let's go back to you.
You gotta let me have something on you. He said leopard. I heard it.
He walked by the leopard to get to the leper. Oh, geez.
He slowly petted it.
Oh.
I'm glad it's not just me.
He took its spots away.
Well,
That's the
the
one way to
problem
look
is-
at it.
It says Jesus heals a man with leprosy. So I had to come up with my own word there. It was the wrong one. Oh,
Oh my God.
I love you guys. I always learn so much and always have the best time.
Man. So that was so funny. Gosh.
so if you see 40, you know that you're going to get tested, you're going to get challenged, or something significant is either going to happen in the Bible. But I think that goes for us too. At 40 years old, man, Corey, I think you're a little older than me, but I feel like I've been tested. I've been through so much
Yeah.
that I think 40 may be like the time for me that it really just kind of turns.
I think it's
Mhm.
the time when God really can speak to a person. I mean, I don't know for a fact that it's the truth, but I believe I read or heard that in a person's mind that they are an adult in their own mind by the time they're 35. And so, that gives you a good little cushion to get a little more experience in life. And I believe that's when God really says, I'm going to start using you. I'm going to start showing you things. And many times in the Bible, it may be 40 years, 40 days that something really bad is going to take place. Or it may have been that 40 days, 40 years, God is going to really transform something. And it was after 40 years that the children of Israel, who had been in bondage for 400 years, they wandered from Egypt to the promised land for 40 years. And it was after that they got to see and behold the land of freedom. And I think God's got a lot in store, and we are really about to see God move in supernatural ways. And let's get ready, and let's get prayed up, and let's seek God and read the Bible more, and go to church more, and get around believers more. And let's see in this period what else, what more God has for us. Be blessed.